There are historical accounts throughout the Bible, but these 12 books, from Joshua to Esther, focus on the unfolding history of the nation of Israel. The previous 5 books, the Pentateuch or Torah, recount historical events, but the purpose of the law books is to lay down divine principles for the moral ordering of God's world. The history books now tell us what men tried to do with those principles. Basically, they tried to break them. But like jumping off a 10-story building, one doesn't break the law of gravity, it breaks you. It's helpful to ask the question, what was the point in bringing the Jews out of Egypt? Why the Jews? And what's with the slaughter of the Canaanites? These are fundamental, because they probe some more foundational issues. What kind of a God are we dealing with? Does he play favorites with the human race? Is he, as some people suggest, a moral monster? God didn't actually choose the Jews. He chose Abram from Ur of the Chaldees. Notice carefully, he tells us why he chose him and what the end game was. On the occasion when he came to discuss the fate of Sodom with him, the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I'm doing, since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment." Do you see that? God chose Abram because he was looking for a man who would propagate the truth through his children to increasingly wider spheres until all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. God was looking for a missionary family. What was the mission? This is crucial to understand. The human race had turned from worshiping the one true God to worshiping the forces of nature, fertility, the sun and sea, love and war. So God determined to raise up a nation at the crossroads of the ancient world who worshiped the true God. They would declare there was a personal God behind the universe, someone who loved his creatures, and that it was possible to know him and love him in return. God didn't capriciously choose Abram or the Jews. He chose them to spread his truth and blessing to everyone else. But what about the Canaanites? Did God order their annihilation just because he was looking for a location for this new nation? That is not what happened. The Canaanites were the offspring of the grandson of Noah. They had known the truth about the one true God, but by this time they worshiped gods who encouraged sacrificing children into the flames of Moloch and declared by their actions that God liked it when they used their young women as temple prostitutes. God couldn't take that kind of advertising. The fact is, the exodus of the Jews coincided with the time of God's judgment on the Canaanites. Just like when the Jews had sunk into idolatry, God's judgment on Israel and Judah coincided with the rise of the Assyrian and Babylonian empires. No, God doesn't play favorites. So as we look at the history books, we'll see this as a recurring theme. God sovereignly overrules man's stupidity to bring blessing to man in spite of himself. What a wonderful God he is. And that's our scripture snapshot on the history books.